everyone, welcome to the group project. The learning objectives are, after watching this video, the student should be able to explain what a task breakdown is and how it is used in a group project, state and describe each section of the group paper, and list the characteristics of a high-quality subtopic summary. As you know already, over the last half of the course, you will be put into groups and expected to do a group project. This video will give you an overview of what that entails. I'll explain what work is due as part of the group project, the order the work is due in, and why it is due in that order. In other words, we do work on this class building up to the final group project and group paper, and this video will explain all that work. I'll end this video with explaining what you are supposed to get out of this group project. Okay, let's start with the group scenarios. The lecturer will assign you into small groups and will give each group a different scenario about the healthcare system. Each scenario says that the small group was hired by a particular organization to give recommendations about how to fix a particular problem in the healthcare system. I had a group in my past classes who did an excellent job on the group project, so I retired their scenario and have posted their work as examples of a high-quality group project. So in their example, they were hired by the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, or NCCIH. And in their example, they were hired to give recommendations on how to better integrate complementary and alternative medicine, called CAM for short, into the U.S. healthcare system. So basically, the small group pretends they are a task force. You will do research together, develop your recommendations, create a paper, and then do a presentation. I'll give you more details about that process here. So our group work starts in Unit 5. If you are in my online classes, I have you watch this video I made about how to fill out a doodle poll. That's because I use this online software called Doodle to schedule online meetings with the different groups at different times. If you are in my hybrid classes, we will meet in person in class, so you don't have to watch the Doodle poll video. But everyone has to watch this video, the introduction to the group project video. Obviously, if you are watching this, you are good at following instructions. Good for you. You are already off to a good start with the group project. Then, for Unit 6, there is nothing specific group related. If you are in my online class, this is when I start sending around the doodle poll to schedule your group for an online meeting with me. Then, in Unit 7, if you're in my online class, I meet online at the scheduled time with your group and get you all off to a good start. If you are in my hybrid class, we all meet in person in class, like I said, and I help you that way. One of the main things we'll do when we meet is start work on these two deliverables, the group task breakdown and the group paper and presentation outlines, because those are due in Unit 8. I'll show you examples of these in this video. Basically, the task breakdown helps the group organize all the work in the group project from the beginning through the end of the course. The outlines help the group structure the final paper and presentation and provide a map for putting these together for these final products. These outlines help the group structure the final paper and presentation and provide a map for putting together these final products. Each group will get its own discussion board, so how you turn in group project deliverables, like the task breakdown and the outlines, is by posting them on the group discussion board where the lecturer will go and download them and grade them. One way we split up the research and the writing work in the group project is to have each member of the group do research on a different subtopic related to the main topic of the scenario. Then each member of the group writes a subtopic summary with references in it. These subtopic summaries become pieces of the body of the paper and the presentation later. So during Unit 9, everyone in your group should be done with their research and subtopic summaries, which is part of building the group paper. Then in Unit 10, there is nothing related to the group project due. But remember, during all this, you still have discussion board, essay, and reading assignments, so you will have to be very wise about your time management. In Unit 11, I have an online meeting with your group. This happens in both the hybrid and the online groups. That way, we don't have to meet in person in the hybrid group. We will schedule this meeting around the group members' schedules. The purpose of this meeting is for me to look at your paper draft with you and give you feedback a few days before it's due so you can fix it up to make it perfect. Then the group paper will be due and you turn it in by posting it on your group discussion board. When group project assignments are graded, the lecturer fills out a rubric for the group, then attaches a copy of that rubric to each of the members in gradebook so you can understand your group grade. Next, in Unit 12, the group will work on developing a slide presentation, as this is what is typically done in a task force. The group writes a report, but as you know, even though your papers will be read and graded carefully, outside of school, people often do not read reports. So, you have to grab their attention by presenting the information in the report, which is what your group will do in this class. There is an online group activity for you to do as a group where you read some information about developing presentations and answer some questions. The goal is to help the group develop a high-quality presentation. Then, in Unit 13, there are group presentations. In my hybrid class, the presentations are in person in class, which is great because then all the groups learn about each other's scenarios. For my online classes, just like for our other meetings, I schedule with your group so that you can present online. I publish the schedule for the online presentations, and if other students show up online to watch, they can get extra credit. So by now, you are all great at writing essays. So you know what a thesis is, and you know your group project paper will need one. In this case, you are not doing a persuasive thesis like with essays 1 and 2. In the group paper, you are doing a research thesis, and you get the research thesis out of the scenario you are assigned. For example, you can see the research thesis that came out of the scenario assigned to the group whose examples I've posted. When we meet to start the group project, I'll help you make sure you know what your group's thesis is. If you want to see what your group scenario is, please go to the Group Project Resources tab and you'll see where your group scenario is posted. Remember how I told you we break up the scenario topic into subtopics and assign one to each person in the group to do research and write a subtopic summary? In the case of the example group, they split their topic up into these 4 subtopics on the screen because there were 4 people in their group. That's another thing I will help you with when we meet, figuring out what your subtopics are. But feel free to read your group scenario ahead of our meeting to try to figure out what you think they should be. You are also very good at the essay structure by now, but we will make a little adjustment for the group paper and presentation because you are on a task force. First, please note that the group paper is longer than your essays. Instead of being 400 to 600 words, it is 1200 to 1400 words, so you'll have enough room to get in all the information. The introduction and conclusion will be familiar to you. For the thesis, you will use your group project's research thesis, and for the topic sentence, you will list the subtopics that you assign to the members. For the body, you will put the subtopic summaries together. What's particularly new for the group project paper is the recommendations paragraph you see just before the conclusion. This will be one paragraph that sums up the group's recommendation to the organization that hired it. Remember the task breakdown we will fill out listing all the tasks for the group paper and presentation and to whom they are assigned? When you do that, you will want to assign the introduction to one member of the group, the recommendation paragraph to one member, and the conclusion to one member. If you have 4 people in your group, well, one person will get off lucky, but you can assign them extra work of other parts of the project. Trust me, there are plenty of tasks to go around. Then, as I foreshadowed, we have the body, but this will get written by everyone in the group through writing their independent subtopic summaries from their research and then putting them all together in the body. So you notice that one of the first things your group has to do is a group task breakdown. This is basically a table that lists all the tasks in the order they need to be done. For each task, it says who is assigned and when the task is due. Basically, as I said, each person is assigned to write their pieces of the paper, then someone is assigned to put those pieces together into a rough draft, and then there's the meeting with the lecturer to go over the rough draft. The task breakdown also has a task for the presentation, where everyone makes slides about their subtopic and whatever else they were assigned, and then someone puts them together, and everyone meets to practice the presentation, and then give the final presentation. You should really look at the example I posted because it is a high-quality example and includes all the important tasks. Also due at the same time the group task breakdown is due are the paper and presentation outlines. You can actually make these outlines right away because they just set up the structure of the paper and the presentation. They don't include any results from your research yet. The examples posted are really good, so I encourage you to look at them. Remember to turn in these items your entire group works together to make a final product, then post it to the group's discussion board for the lecturer to go get and grade. The lecturer fills out a rubric and posts a copy for each group member. Let's take a moment and look at the Group Project Resources tab on eLearning so you can find these resources. So here we are on the Group Project Resources tab. You will see that the examples are in the upper left. Here is the example scenario I showed on the slide. Here is where you download the example task breakdown and look at it. And here are the example outlines. If you are unsure of the format when you are writing your subtopic summary, you can download these examples from the example group project posted. And if you want to take a look at what their final paper looked like, you can download it here. If you choose the one below it, the annotated one, you will see where the thesis and topic sentences are in it because they are marked. Also, as you get into making the presentation, if you have questions, download and look at the files associated with the example final presentation. Down here, we have some goodies for you. The task breakdown is basically a table, and I made a blank version for you to fill in that you can download here. Also, all the blank rubrics for the group project deliverables are here. You should look at these as you work on your part of the group project to make sure the group gets as many points as possible on their work. Okay, now that you know how to get to these resources, let's look at the example task breakdown. See this task breakdown? I won't go over the whole thing, but you should recognize what I talked about. See how each line has the task, the person assigned to the task, and the due date? There's also a space for comments. Every single task for the whole project is listed here, all the way to the very end, where the group actually gives the presentation. I strongly suggest you use this task breakdown to help guide your group when you make yours. Okay, let's look at the example outlines now. Let's start with the example paper outline. Here is the example paper outline. As you can see, it's not very wordy. It basically is a map of how you put the pieces of the paper together. You'll see the introduction is basically the thesis and then the list of subtopics for the topic sentence. Then for the body, you will see how each entry is for a subtopic and the students just listed information they were going to look for on their subtopic. You can also see that the recommendations is listed, but there is nothing there yet because none of the research has been done yet. Like I said, it's basically a framework to help the person assembling your paper put it together in the right order. And here's the conclusion. And don't forget, you have to make the presentation outline too. Let's go look at an example of that. Here it is. You will see at the top the group listed everyone and what they will do in the presentation. Then here we have a short summary of who is going to do what and how long it's going to take. Remember, the actual presentation should be 15 minutes followed by question and answer. Okay, now that you know about these resources, let's return to the slides. Sometimes the person assigned the recommendation paragraph has some trouble writing it. They say to me, I don't know what to recommend. Here's my suggestion for writing your paragraph. First, read everyone's subtopic summaries. They will be posted on your group discussion board. Then, from those, pick out what you think are good things to recommend and say in your paragraph you want to recommend that. Your group will get back to you if they disagree. But sometimes even the entire group doesn't really know what to say. If you still don't know what to say, don't worry. When you have your group meeting with the lecturer before the paper is due, the lecturer will help you figure out what to say in your recommendations. Now let's talk about where the rubber hits the road. Grades. First, please look at the rubrics to make sure you know where the points are and how you will be graded. In the final paper, you will need to have 10 to 12 references, and half of those need to be peer-reviewed. The paper will be 1,200 to 1,400 words, and there are also rules on the rubric about what goes on the cover page. One rubric will be filled out for the group, and a copy of that rubric will be posted for each member for the grade. If a group member does not fully participate in developing the group paper, their grade will be differentiated, meaning they will get their own rubric filled out about just their work. So therefore, if you are in a group where a member does not do their work according to the task breakdown, or just stops responding to group members, please notify me ASAP. I will contact the group member and help them get back on track. Now let's talk about the presentation grading. Again, there's a rubric, and the rubric says the presentation should be 15 minutes. You must distribute a handout and mention it during the presentation, and you must have a reference list and distribute that. If you are in my online class, please see the Group Project Resources tab for instructions on how to distribute handouts electronically. The group gets graded on how well they handle questions and answers. And like with the paper, if the group member does not fully participate in the presentation, their grade will be differentiated. Here are a few tips for the group project. First, as soon as you have your first meeting, get contact information for each other. Some groups use a group text approach, and others use social media, but please find a way to stay in contact during this time. Next, post everything you can on your group discussion board. For example, if you meet in person and someone takes notes, post those notes on the group discussion board. Even if you email something to someone, if it relates to the group project, just also post it on the board. The reason is that if it is posted there, then everyone can get at it in an emergency, and also I can then monitor the group. If someone contacts me and says that someone is not responding, the first place I look is on the group project discussion board to see if they are posting work there. So you want to have a lot of posts there so it looks like you are participating. Don't forget to use the Group Project Resources tab to help you, and also please use the Ask the Lecturer board if you need feedback from the lecturer about writing, sources, or any questions you have. So as you'll find, I'm a very enthusiastic person, but I admit that students generally groan when they are put in a group project. I used to dislike them too when I was in college. I used to ask, what am I getting out of this difficult experience? So I thought I'd cut to the chase and tell you what you are supposed to get out of this experience. In healthcare, as in a lot of fields, there are regulations, policies, and procedures. Often, when something new happens, you get put on a task force and are asked to research something and make recommendations. Basically, you are asked to do a version of the group project in this class. In fact, I used to work for the Hennepin County Department of Corrections, and I was once put on a task force, and this is pretty much how we wrote our report and did our presentation. This class will show you how to split up the work on the task force so everyone is held accountable for their part. It will also improve your skills in oral communication, research, writing, teamwork, and time management. So, in conclusion, this video gave you an overview of the group project and explained how we will work through the different activities to build up to the final group paper and presentation. I explained how the lecturer will work with your group through this process and all the deliverables you are expected to produce with your group. I also explained what you are supposed to get out of the group project. Thank you for patiently watching this long video. Don't worry if you don't remember everything you watched. At your first group meeting, we will revisit the information in this video to make sure you understand it. It is my hope that you learn a lot and gain valuable experience as you go through the process of working with your group to respond to the scenario with some terrific recommendations. Good luck on your group project.